Steelers 365 here on Trib Live Radio and TribLive.com. I'm Ken Laird. It's all brought to you by our good friends at Eastern H2O in the Fox Chapel Plaza. Don't forget the mountains are open. Get your skis and snowboards out to Eastern H2O. Get them waxed up and head out to the hills. Also, the Reactor watch is still going. The best built performance sport watch, period. You'll find them at Eastern H2O. You'll find the NFL Draft coming up in about 75 days. We are doing a series of draft vignettes, previews for the late April feeder system for the NFL. Today, taking a look at defensive line a little bit and the Pittsburgh Steelers' needs there and where they might look for some replacements. It's an interesting position for the Steelers coming in at D-line this year. They've obviously, in recent memory here, taken two pretty high picks at defensive end in their 3-4, 2009 Ziggy Hood, and following it up with Cameron the next year, Cameron from Ohio State. And I think you're looking at two guys who are starting to grow in their roles with the team. Ziggy Hood's been now a starter for a year plus and has really been very durable, if not excellent or outstanding. I think maybe you saw at the end of last year Ziggy improve a little bit. He's got 2 years at the end on the back end of his deal, though, and he's not looking like he'll be a superstar. More relevant at the other end, you're going to have Brett Kiesel in the last year of his contract, and cap casualties are starting to happen for veterans around the league. Could Kiesel be one of those? More than likely, he'll restructure his deal, and you could probably save a few million off the cap where the team has problems now by doing that, and you bring Brett back for at least one more season. He played a lot better when James Harrison was sort of behind him there at outside linebacker when James finally got his legs underneath him. And the defense at large by the end of the year really was clicking and became one of the elite run defensive teams in the league again, and Kiesel was a part of that. And, of course, Casey Hampton was in the middle, too, off his ACL knee injury, and I think his durability and effectiveness was not where it was at Casey's peak level in his career, but also did impress the coaches some, too. So they've got two decisions to make as to whether they go another year with Hampton and Kiesel, or they start to make the transition to the next tier of young guys. And in the case of Hampton, do they want to do a similar deal, with bringing him back on sort of a veteran minimum if they can work it out for one more season? Unlikely that they're going to pay him and could afford to pay him big money again. And Casey said he's not going to retire. They have coming up Steve McClendon behind him, of course, but will he be able to take the reins if it's just him and their draft pick of a nose tackle last year in the middle rounds? We've seen what Alameda Teamu has done in his first year as far as off-the-field problems, and it's hard to count on him. They did bring him back into the fold, and I think they want to give him a second chance, but certainly he's a backup at best. So we look at the crop here for 2013. There are some good nose tackle prospects that should be available in rounds 2 and 3. Brandon Williams from Missouri Southern, North Carolina's Sylvester Williams, Jesse Williams from Alabama. There are always a couple of those good, big, fat, nasty nose tackles that you can find at 300-plus pounds, 350 in that range. In the first round, would they go for a defensive lineman? Unlikely given their needs at pass rusher, wide receiver, and some other spots, safety. But if there were a couple of guys, the Utah prospect Star Lutulele, who could play inside and outside, he's 325, so he's probably more profiling as a D tackle and a four-down defensive front. You might think about it. Sharif Floyd, though, of Florida, is another one of those tweener guys who's played some end, has played some inside, and these are all 300-plus type of players. And Sharif profiles more as the 3-4 pass, defensive end for the Steelers system that could maybe handle it. Jonathan Hankins, Ohio State. Big John Jenkins from Georgia. You're going to hear a lot in the coming weeks about Sheldon Richardson in Missouri, too. So there are a lot of these types who could play a little bit of 3-4, 4-3 defensive end, defensive tackle, and the Steelers will have their eye on them. Last year, Dontari Poe, Fletcher Cox, Michael Brockers, there were 3 D lineman prospects that went in the top 15 in the draft. And every year there are a few. You've seen some busts like Jacksonville when they took Tyson Alu, but you've also seen Marcel Darius and some others be very effective. And Mike Tomlin has talked about the importance of having young big guys. So I wouldn't say it's likely. Like O-line, it's an area where they can probably get by for another year without really addressing it high in the draft, and likely you would see them go elsewhere. but it's a position where nose tackle, they clearly have some question marks, and at defensive end, maybe another year of Brett Kiesel before they really start to make a transition with some other guys. We'll be talking about linebacker and pass rusher, inside linebacker, safety, corners in future Steelers 365s to come. And today's look at the D-line here on Trib Live Radio, triblive.com.